A very good afternoon to you all, friends. I'm Sanjeev Singhal, Central Council member and Chairman, Auditing and Assurance Standard Board. Along with me is the Vice Chairman, CA Vishal Doshi ji, the Honorable Government Nominee Advocate Vijay Jalani ji, my Senior Council colleague, CA Ranjit Agarwal ji, and CA Hansra Chuk ji, plus few other council members along with the President and Vice President are expected to join soon. We have five very illustrious past AASB chairmen, uh, including the two past presidents, CA Sunil Goyal ji, CA Dr. Amarjit Chopra ji, CA Abhijit Bandyopadhyay ji, CA Shamlal Agarwal ji, CA G. Shekhar ji. Friends, it is indeed a matter of great pleasure and pride that today is the 100th program of the Auditing and Assurance Standard Board for this council. The topic for this program is audit quality, ethics, and professional skepticism. In this program, we'll be talking about the journey of the AASP, the experiences of our five past illustrious AASP chairpersons, and we'll be doing a panel discussion. The President and Vice President of ICI are expected to join soon. In the meanwhile, let me take you through briefly through the journey of the Auditing and Assurance Standard Board in all these years through a small PowerPoint presentation. Next slide. So the ICI, as we know, our beloved ICI was formed in 1949, and then now we are in 2022. In 2008, AASB converged the standards on auditing, basically the essays, and the AASB has undertaken this journey through various research projects, coming out with the standards, and over a period of time, the various AASB chairmen and the council members have worked under the guidance of the respective presidents and vice presidents. And today we are here where we have the converged standards on auditing and a plethora of the research articles, the guidance note, the technical guides. So AASB remains indebted to all the torchbearers of AASB in all these years. Next. In year 1982 to 2002, we had statement on standard auditing practices. 2002 to 2008, we had auditing and assurance standards. And 2008 onwards, we had standards on auditing till present day. The key activities of AASB are the research initiatives in which we have the standards, technical publications, announcements and clarifications, contribution on international platform. We comment on all the exposure drafts of standards or discussion papers or the consultation papers issued by IAASB. We participate in the IAASB meetings. We interact with all the regulators, whether it is SEBI, NFRA, government authorities, MCA, CNAG, etc. And for dissemination of knowledge, we do the awareness programs, digital learnings, virtual trainings, information sharing, and handholding of the members. And this time in the World Congress of Accountant, as we know that the theme was building trust, enabling sustainability. And trust is the hallmark of the auditing profession in all the chartered accountants. And AASB has also set up a stall at the World Congress of Accountant where the knowledge was tested of the various members and mementos were given to all the members who have successfully answered the quiz. And the idea was to know that in which standards members are more comfortable and in which areas capacity building is required. Go ahead. In this year, we have the AASB has submitted response on G20 background paper and high-level principles on enhancing the role of auditing in tackling corruptions, which was received by AASB from MCA. We have also submitted suggestions on the SEBI consultation paper on disclosure for basis of issue price, offer document on the SEBI ICDR regulation. And you'll be happy to note that SEBI has accepted all our suggestions and brought out the amendment to the ICDR regulation on 21st November 2022. And now we are coming out with a technical guide on KPIs. We've also submitted representation to IBA regarding ICAI suggestion to deal with practical difficulties in the balance confirmations. We also came out with an announcement. And yesterday in a meeting with IBA, we have started talking about developing a portal along with RBI, IBA, and ICAI, which will be co-owned by ICAI also, which will help members to obtain balance confirmations from bank at that portal. Next slide. During this year, we have issued revised guidance note on the CARO 2020, the chief architect of which was CA Dr. Amarjit Chopra, who was the chairman of the committee set up by NCA. We issued implementation guide on reporting under Rule 11E and 11F of the company's audit and auditor rule 2014. We also set up an expert panel to answer the bank branch audit queries. And this time, for the first time, we also set up an expert panel on addressing auditing aspect related queries in statutory audit of companies as well as other form of organization. And in both these panels, we have more than 50 experts participating in each, and we have a structured course on the engagement and quality control standards. Next slide. Some of the ongoing projects, we are working on the technical guide on audit trail. We are working on digital assurance. You may be happy to note that SEBI requested ICAI president to work on a digital assurance guide. The guide is ready and it will be taken up in the upcoming council meeting on 15th of December. We are working on auditing standard checklist for practitioners. We are working on guidance around assembly of final audit file as per SA 230, audit documentation, which is expected to be released again by 15th of December this year. We're working on a project on expectation gap. And as I said, a technical guide on the KPIs. Next slide. We have done various awareness programs, and today's program is also a step in that direction. Today is the 100th program for this council year, and 1,17,607 members have attended the first 99 programs taken together. We also have video lectures and audio ebooks, which are there on the digital learning hub of ICAI, and the Vice Chairman Vishal Bhai Doshi is working on revising the guidance note on audit of banks. Next slide. So basically, we are taking every possible step in building trust in the financial statements. We also started work on assurance statements in ESG and also doing the capacity building. And this topic today is audit quality, ethics, and professional skepticism, which is the hallmark of our profession. And now, before I invite the other council colleagues and the panel members, I would request the Vice Chairman, C. Vishal Doshi ji, to say a few words.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Very good afternoon to the past presidents, the past chairman of the AASB, government nominee, Jalani ji, my council colleagues, and all the participants. Today is a historic event because we are having the 100th learning program of the AASB in this year. And it has been a very, very interesting journey so far. In fact, the best part of this journey has been that when we have we have started conducting webinars, which are under the unstructured CP, and then also we are getting participants of more than 1,500 to 2,000 members per webinar. That shows the interest that the members are having in learning with respect to the auditing standards and the related topics. So that gives a lot of motivation and boost for us to continue this knowledge dissemination series and events. Our special thanks to all the regional councils and the branches who have conducted the various programs of the AASB. A heartfelt thanks to all the speakers, the panelists and moderators who have made this happen. And last but not the least, a big thank you to the office who have made arrangements for this all these programs and more programs that would follow this 100th event. Thanks to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal Bhai. May I now request our TAQRB Chairman and the Vice Chairman for Center for Audit Quality, Ranjit Bhai, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Chairman Sanjeev Bhai and Vice Chairman Vishal Bhai, Jalani ji, Chuk Saab, and all the five leader I can see. Chopra sir.
I'm not leaving you, don't worry.
Please sir, please come. Chopra sir, Sunil Goyal ji, three past CCM I can see Abhijit Bandopadhyay, Shyamlal ji and Shekhar sir and my very senior council colleague and president, vice president just joined. I compliment chairman and vice chairman for organizing this 100th CP, celebrating the 100th CP webinar of this AASB. And the most important part of this meeting is that whatever AASB has traveled so far till 2020, all the persons responsible for this are on the screen. And because of their hard work, the AASB could achieve to this milestone. And I hope in the future, their guidance under the leadership of President, Vice President, we can travel further in the future to come. With these words, I congratulate AASB for organizing this webinar under the leadership of President and Vice President. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajit Bhai. Our torchbearer, the Honorable President of ICAI, CA Dr. Devashish Mitra, along with the Vice President, CA Aniket Sunil Talati, ji are here, and is also joined by CA Sanjay Agarwal ji, my senior council colleague, and CA Abhay Chajad ji. May I now request the Honorable Vice President, CA Aniket Sunil Talati ji, to share his thoughts on this 100 program, on the occasion of the 100 program of the AASB.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sanjay Bhai. And I think all the respected past chairman of AASB and two of them are honorable past presidents of the institute will agree and join me in saying that when AASB was started this year, and we are all aware the chairman is the same for all the 3 years of the council year, subject to becoming the vice president of the institute. I think, sir, all the past chairmen will agree. This is a momentous occasion. 100 programs in 1 year on audit. I think this would not have been ever imagined or thought about that this scale could be achieved. So let me first of all begin by complimenting and congratulating both Sanjay Bhai and Vishal Doshi ji and the entire AASB team. Sir, it takes a lot of dedication to have continuous sessions on AASB. We can think of subjects, topics, because of you can break down the standards, you can do for quality control, you can do each assurance standard separately, you can do the other engagement standards, but getting the kind of audience also and having the patience and wherewithal to make sure that we take it to the last person who's doing audit. I think there has been sincere dedication from both the chairman and vice chairman, so I must compliment the two of them. And I think Honorable President Sir and myself multiple times discussed the role and importance of audit for any of us to discharge our function as council members or even as president, vice president. Whenever we meet regulators, so today the discussion is always revolving around the expectation gap and the two magic words, audit quality, which we all talk about. And therefore, I think the understanding of these standards, the quality control standards, the audit standards, the other engagement standards, I think is very essential for the membership. And now with the NFRA stepping up its act and game in terms of having inspections, coming out with these quality reports, I think it is even more important that as the institute, we become more proactive, because any failure earlier used to be highlighted only if there was a fraud. Today, a situation will be failures will be highlighted, though there may not be a fraud, but there will be a perceived gap in terms of what is the documentation expectation of the standards by the regulator and what is being met by our firms. This was never the situation in my view in the past. And I think now with the regulators, it may be SEBI, it may be NFRA, others getting into the fray, and of course, enhanced regulation by ICI through its peer review, FRRB and other mechanisms. I think there'll be more glaring shortcomings also which come up, and I think it gives an opportunity to improve the quality of audit. So let me say that it's a wonderful initiative that you are doing to be proactive so that nobody can come and say that where was ICI and why you did not teach us. My only request to the committee would be, please make these videos more popular, have smaller clips drawn out of all these sessions that are being taken. Today's panel may be a great example. and try and circulate it on WhatsApps, on other social media platform, because audit is one area which will not go on a pull-based mechanism, but you will have to go through a push-based mechanism through our membership. And once they see a video on their phone, the likelihood of them looking at the standard, understanding these nuances will be higher. So that is just one request that I have on this occasion. But once again, my heartiest compliments, congratulations to the board under the Sanjeev Bhai, and of course the leadership of our Honorable President, Dr. Devashish Mitra ji. And my special regards to two honorable past presidents and the past chairman, all five of them of AASB in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice President, sir. We have duly noted your point of making these small clips. Of course, these programs are available since 1,17,000 members have attended these programs so far. And besides the program, before you joined, we also updated the members that I think one of the high feature has been that our stance on the KPIs was accepted by SEBI during this year, and they brought about that ICDR amendment. So these are the kind of interventions that AASB has been making. And Honorable President, sir, you will also recall that this year we also ran a helpline for addressing any possible audit-related query for all the audits, for all the statutory audits. So that was also, duly availed by the members. Sir, you yourself have been a vice chairman of this board, and you have seen this board very closely, both as a vice chairman and now as a president. We request for your keynote address on this occasion, sir.
Thank you very much, Chairman, Audit and Assurance Standards Board, Sanjeev Singhal ji, the Vice Chairman, and all my council colleagues, and the most important, the Vice President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Aniket Talati, the two past presidents whom we have, Sunil Goyal ji and Amarjit Chopra ji, Abhijit Bandyopadhyay, Shyam Agarwal ji, and see people whom, Shyam Agarwal ji, I have worked with him when he was the chairman. And of course, the other gentleman who is looking very serious on the screen, G. Shekhar. You see, he was my boss because he was the chairman when I was the vice chairman of Audit and Assurance Standards Board. And of course, you see, the Honorable Government nominee, Jhalani ji. It is, a nostalgic moment for me when I see that, we are celebrating 100 CP programs of Audit and Assurance Standards Board. Because Audit and Assurance Standards Board, as I was telling Sanjeev Bhai just now, that has been a board which has been very close to my heart. I started off with corporate laws, spent a lot of time in CLCGC, but once I came to Audit and Assurance, it was something else. The 46 Audit and Assurance standards that we had started playing, games in front of my eyes. And it was always such a great pleasure, being with them, talking about them. And then as we progressed and as I became the vice president, I realized that almost all the questions that the people had about the profession, they related to audit. They were not asking me questions on income tax or others. They were all asking me questions on audit, about the audit quality. And and then I realized that I was totally lucky that I was there in the Audit and Assurance Standards Board, because I could answer those questions to the best of my ability. And I always now, when Aniket goes on to become the president, I am also very happy, because he's also spoken on Audit and Assurance Standards so many times that he will never be in difficulty in a press conference or any other area whenever questions are asked. But today, this board and the Sustainability Reporting Standards Board, which was not there when maybe Shyam Agarwal ji or Abhijit Bandyopadhyay or Amarjit Chopra ji, I don't think so it was there even in G. Shekhar's time, right? So they have taken the auditing into a newer area. Now, we talk about social audit standards, things that we did not talk about earlier. We have got 16 of them. We are not talking about forensic audit standards. We have got 19 of them. Now, we are talking about things which we did not speak about earlier. And we are going into areas which are really uncharted in nature, in the sense that we did not think that we have much expertise in this. But today, when SEBI says that you all guys are good and form a Section 8 company to regulate the entire social audit, and that your social audit standards are accepted by us, we feel gladdened. We feel that we have come a long way, and these standards that are there are being, you see, really given due respect. Right? The other day, the chairperson of SEBI, when we were having the World Congress, many of you, because she was not a speaker there, so many of you may not be aware, on the 17th, I believe, she walked into our BKC office, Madam Booch. Right? She walked into a BKC office. There was a program of XBRL. Now there, she was praising ICAI for its efforts on digital assurance. She was saying that, you all guys, you know what we did? We prepared a paper on digital assurance, a technical guide, and draft we shared with her. And today, many of you have seen the paper. She's talking about 20 external organizations from whom you can take external confirmations. She's talking about that. Those 20 external confirmations are all, organizations are all listed in the draft that we had given to her. Right? But she was in all praise. Aniket Talati ji had worked very hard. Sanjeev Singhal had worked very hard on that, on developing that. Right? So she's saying, give me that book on digital assurance, and I'll be extremely thankful. The technical guide has been already developed. The council is meeting on the 15th of December. And she was saying, give it to me by the month of December. So the council will accept, we hope that the council will approve the take a note of the technical guide, and we are going ahead. So what has happened is, the Audit and Assurance Standards Board has come a long way. I have failed to mention about Vishal Doshi. You see, he's been working so hard at it and doing so well. Guiding the Audit and Assurance Standards Board. So let me tell all the past chairmen who are listening to me that, you see, we are, really active, alive and kicking, and we are doing very, very well in the Audit and Assurance Standards Board. And as the president of the institute, I am very proud of the kind of achievements that this board has over the last 1 year and also in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Honorable President, sir. May I now request Government Vice President is okay. So may I now start with our formal AASB chairmen. And to start with, may I now request our Honorable Past President, C.S. Sunil Goyal ji, for his opening remarks. And my suggestion to all the 5 AASB chairmen would be to give their opening remarks for about 5 minutes each. And then we have panel questions. We are also receiving questions from members. So we'll be taking up those questions. So Honorable Past President, sir, C.S. Sunil Goyal ji, we thank you for taking out time for joining this 100th program of the Auditing and Assurance Standard Board, and would request for your opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable President, Honorable Vice President, Chairman, Vice Chairman of AASB, other learned council members, Honorable Past President Chopra ji. First of all, my compliments. My compliments on many issues. To begin with, to conclude the World Congress of Accountants in a very, very remarkable way, the President, Vice President, the whole team deserves a big round of applause. It has left its mark everywhere in the world. And what feedback I am receiving from various my friends in India and abroad clearly demonstrates that India has arrived, ICI has arrived. I was just hearing what Honorable President said and Honorable VP said about discussion with SEBI, discussion with MCA. And those are all echoing in that nature only, sir. Now, about AASB, because I have a short time, Chairman is very strict here, so I have a very short.
Sunilji, I agree with you.
let me compliment you, Mr. Chairman, and your team. First of all, to organize 100 programs on AASB. Because you see, what you are doing is the heart, soul of our profession. This is exactly why we are called auditors. And all other functions are maybe equally important. I am not denouncing the value of any function, but that is not where our exclusivity lies. No, this function gives us fame and defame. And this is an area where we also get a lot of flack also from the government, and anything goes wrong, a single thing goes wrong anywhere, the whole profession is maligned by the press, by the media, by the regulators and public as well. So it is very important that we teach our members and the public at large, in whatever way we can connect with them, that how much effort ICAI is putting up to educate, to guide, to handhold, and to equip our members in this regard. And when I was chairman of AASB, I always considered this as an honor, because here we were laying down the standards. At that time, we had not completed all the standards. So we were pronouncing the standard at that point of time. And we were charting the course for the profession which was to be followed. Now, with a look back, we find that we are at the world level. Our accounting and auditing, all standards are equivalent to the world standards in any manner. Honorable President just highlighted many new challenges. Sustainability. Now, we did not hear the word sustainability at that point of time. I'm very frank to admit. So I know your challenges are bigger, but it's very heartening to see that you are coming with standards on that. Forensic audit, ESG compliance. Now, ESG compliance has suddenly become so important that in every aspect of our corporate life, we have to look for them. Now, as rightly said, it is where the expectation gap also lies. And the expectation gap, if our members properly fulfill the theme of this meeting, which is our audit quality, our ethics, and the professional skepticism, then I can assure you, Mr. President and Mr. Chairman and Mr. VP, that our members will be much, much more enriched by following what we are talking about these terms. Now, we all know what is audit quality, and we will discuss more about this thing in our discourse in the further thing. But the professional skepticism, what you have added, Mr. Chairman, in this meeting is very, very important, because that is one area where I find our members need to understand more and apply an attitude of what was said about a watchdog and not a bloodhound. But let us not forget the instinct of a watchdog. So to distinguish between a watchdog and a bloodhound is a must. I sometimes find that we need some more education, maybe case studies, maybe handholding, maybe demonstrating in person to person that how one should view a particular situation. I will speak more when I get next time. With this, I will hand over to Chairman for inviting other speakers.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. You highlighted, you also mentioned about sustainability. And we know that the theme of the World Congress was building trust, enabling sustainability, and both are interrelated. So you will also be happy to know that ICAI has brought out the world's first ever assurance standard on ESG. So again, we are the pioneer over there. May I now invite CA Dr. Amarjit Chopra ji, and I'm aware that how hard it will be for him. He has recently lost his mentor, his guru, his elder brother. And sir, our sincere condolences. And we know that how difficult it would have been for you to join this program, but the call of the duty has always been foremost for you. So we are thankful to you for joining this program. And we would request for your opening remarks on this occasion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sanjeev ji. Honorable President, Vice President, the Chairman of AASB, Sanjeev Singhal ji, Vice Chairman Vishal Doshi ji, other council colleagues, the past President, Mr. Sunil Goyal ji, Shekhar Saab, Abhijit Bandyopadhyay ji. And if I leave out any name, my apologies for that. Very frankly, today's my joining I dedicate to my elder brother, Dr. Swaranjit Chopra, whom we lost on 22nd. He has been my mentor He has been my inspiration. He has been my guide. And life cannot be the same without him. I can tell you that. It is a very, I feel that I've lost the father the second time. Anyway, strange are the ways of God. Within seconds, we had lost him. But he didn't suffer anything. I think that has been the greatest gift of God. So far as the topic of the day is concerned, quality of audit, ethical standards, and the professional skepticism. See, to me, of course, when I happen to be the chairman of the Audit and Assurance Standard Board, as Sunilji has also said, we had a different kind of a position. But at the same time, I think challenges have been the same in every year. Challenges have been the same in the sense that so far as the ethical part is concerned, so far as the implementation of the auditing standards or accounting standards are concerned, the challenge has been the same all the time, so far as the auditing profession is concerned. To me, the most important part would be that the quality of audit, whenever we talk of the quality of audit, I personally feel it is not only impacted by the knowledge of the technical standards. It is more affected by the ethical conduct of the person concerned. If a person is ethical in his approach, he will definitely like to make sure that whatever he has learned, he will like to implement that, and he will like to see that that is actually brought into practice also. Knowledge of technical standards is important. Yes, we must know what the business is, how we have to plan a particular audit. We must know how to fix the materiality levels. We must know that how the samples have to be picked up, and what will be the reasonable sample, or what will be the reflective sample in a particular audit. But whatever we may pick up, because if I'm not ethical, in that particular case, I'm going to pick up something which will suit the requirements of the client, or which may not reflect on the true and fair view, basically, and which may not be reflective of the correct kind of reporting that I'm supposed to do. So to me, always, when I look at the audit and assurance standards, unless I marry them along with the, you can say, the ethical standards, it becomes difficult to maintain the quality of the audit. So, in my opinion, I think the quality of audit would always be influenced, besides the upskilling, besides the knowledge of the technical standards, by the ethical behavior of the persons concerned, the professional behavior. It would also be greatly affected even by the rotation of audit. People may tend to disagree. It may even be affected by the joint audit concept in the times to come, basically. We have always been talking about the audit quality from the perspective of the auditors, from the perspective of the chartered accountants. We have never talked about the quality of the audit to be influenced by the role of the audit committees. I think one of the very important aspects is how the audit committees interact with the auditors. What are their expectations? How they behave? How they look at the audit reports? How they set up their risk areas, basically, when they convey it to the auditors. That's a very important aspect. And as Sunilji said, one of the very important aspects would be the professional skepticism. We may not approach an audit from an investigator's perspective, but definitely there has to be some kind of an approach where I personally feel that something wrong can be there in the financial statements, and I must have some kind of a professional skepticism approach. And I must compliment, I think whatever Sunilji said, I echo those sentiments. My congratulations to the President, Vice President, entire team, the staff of the Institute, for really making sure that to the world at large, the message has gone that the Indian profession has arrived. This World Congress. I was there for all the 4 days, and I can dare say that it has been the best achievement of the institute so far in all these years. There cannot be anything better than this. So my compliments to the entire team. The way it has been led by Prafulji, the president, the vice president, and the other council members, I think it speaks volumes. And my hats off to the staff members also of the institute for the way they have conducted this entire program. So keep it up. So far as this sustainability is concerned, I think now ESG is going to become very important from that particular angle, forensic. You see, but my one request that I can make to the AASB is, let us have a study conducted, whether it is through the ARF or otherwise, the way the samples have been picked up, the way the materiality levels have been fixed. I think that's very important. And if we can get a study conducted where the frauds happen, how the samples were picked up and how the materiality was fixed up, I think that could be a great job to be done by the AASB. And to me, one of the very important aspects will be in how many cases SA 240 has been properly interpreted and duly implemented by the auditors. One may say that we are not there to detect the frauds and we may stumble upon information. But saying that I do conduct the audit of a company where there are bank borrowings of 500 crore rupees and I don't look even at the stock statements of the party, am I complying with the SA 240 in that particular case? I think that's very important. So to my mind, somewhere or the other, institute needs to really conduct certain studies with regard to the, particularly in those cases where the failures have taken place, where the companies have actually looted the banks and the public money. If we can conduct those studies either through the ARF or through the AASB, I think that will be a very befitting reply to the various regulators. And to my mind, any kind of improvement in the quality will also depend upon the role of the regulators. Unfortunately, I don't want to say about some of the regulators. If Madam Butch can go on record to say that valuation is not going to be the responsibility of SEBI, I don't know what is going to be their responsibility. I don't want to comment upon that. I will stop here. But again, I would like to compliment the entire team of the institute for wonderful jobs that they have done and compliment the chairman AASB for 100th program today. It's a massive achievement. I can, it is no mean an achievement to do that. People don't do it over a number of years, and you have been able to do it in 1 year. So my compliments to you all. And with Avijit Bandyopadhyay being there, who has represented us on the international board also, I think I will be keenly looking forward to his address also. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your kind words. And sir, we have duly noted your suggestion of undertaking the research. And the president, vice president have to leave for another meeting at the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And sir, the FRRB chairman and the CAQ chairman Durgesh Bhai is also here. So probably this is a research which we can carry out in the Center for Audit Quality as well. And in fact, one of the suggestion of the NFRA chairman on the crowdsourcing of risk, this is another area which can be taken up in the CAQ and AASB can certainly undertake it. So before I invite Abhijit Bandyopadhyay, since Durgesh Bhai is there, Durgesh Bhai, if quickly you want to react on.
I assure one thing, Sanjeev, to the chairman Durgesh Kabraji, whatever assistance he may require, one will be willing to undertake any of those projects for that matter. So, because
sir, we would like you to lead it. We would like you to lead it, sir. And Durgesh Bhai is here. Durgesh Bhai, would you like to say something on these two suggestions and how we can take them forward?
Definitely, as Sanjeev ji, you said, thank you very much. First of all, inviting me also to this particular discussion, whereas I am not being part of as a chairman or vice chairman of AASB, but you have united me and all the past president, both the past president, past central council members, and chairman and vice chairman. As suggested by Chopra sir, and as you have suggested, both the project AASB and CAQ we can work upon together. And definitely, sir, as Sanjeev ji is saying, we will require your role into it as a leading person, because you have to lead the project, and then it will be very easy for all of us to have the right thing comes for all the practicing chartered accountants. So how the quality, how the professional skepticism and all these things can be taken care of. I think Ruchika will be in touch with you soon with respect to one suggestion which you have said, that wherever all qualifications are there, we have already started that project. I have given a certain number of companies to them, and Ruchika will be in touch with you, sir, for that particular things, and that will help to all the practicing chartered accountant. And Sanjeev ji, not taking much of time, continue with the seminar and give the opportunity to all the other leaders who are there today, who have come as a guest today. I think that would be, we can speak whatever we want, and we can discuss whenever the time is possible.
Thank you, Durgesh.
But surely we'll take care at CAQ, and we will be working with the AASB for sure.
Durgesh,
Thank you, Durgesh bhai.
I'll supplement Chopra ji. All the panelists here will be very happy to join with you in any matter where you need any support, any work to be done by any one of us. We'll all be very happy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
All offers of this kind are readily accepted by us always, and we are accepting this offer. And this crowdsourcing of risk is one project which we want to undertake immediately. Different industries, we want to map the risk, because crowdsourcing of the risk by individual auditor will not be feasible. So that's why we thought that let CAQ and AASB lead it, and we'll be very glad to receive support from all of you. With this, now I invite. Thank you, sir. I now invite Abhijit Bandyopadhyay, past council member and past chairman AASB, for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Sanjeev bhai. Thank you. Thanks a lot. My chairman and vice chairman AASB, past presidents, council members, past chairman of AASB, and my colleagues. Thanks for the invite, first of all, Mr. Chairman. And I start with a note of my message of condolences for Dr. Chopra ji and Durgesh Kabra ji. On this 100 program, chairman has left the room, but vice chairman, you may take a note. My compliments go to AASB as a whole and the leadership. But one thing perhaps we are leaving unnoticed, that chairman's slides, he said that the 100 programs attended by 11,76,000 plus members, which is remarkable. Each and every program on an average is attended by 1,176 members is laudable. I think 100 programs is still, one can achieve, Chairman, but your slide says 1,176 members on an average attended each and every program. That's really laudable. So it is not that you have made a statistics very sound by doing 1,100 programs, but every program, if it is organized by more than 1,100 members, is something achieved in. So compliments to chairman, vice chairman, and the entire team of AASB, and of course the entire council of ICI. My second compliments, I echo the voice of my previous speakers. I attended for entire 4 days the World Congress of Accountants. It was really state of the art. Organizing management, I have sent messages to president, vice president, and I have also made my message clear in public social media, saying that it's a historical event, and not only history for last 100 years, maybe in the future decade, it will be a landmark event. It was a confluence of international speakers, regulators, national regulators, speakers, past presidents, all council members, and really we have had a very good time, not only meeting people, I met many of my old friends, and it was not only from my state or my country, there are many international guests. So again, hats off to the council and compliments. Sir, on the audit field, I think you have done a very good, decision. You have taken a very good decision by starting a discussion on audit quality, ethics, and professional skepticism. We know that these three are embedded in the auditing standards, right? And when you talk about audit quality, much depends on the standards on auditing, which is sacrosanct. According to me, I have worked as chairman WSB, I have worked as member IWSB. I see that our standards are prepared or made following the international standards on auditing, which is a very well-researched product. Even we do a lot of research work and we have guidance notes and compendium of implementation guides. So if one wants to do a very good quality audit, I think ICI has given all the weapons in the form of standards, guidance note, implementation guide to him to make a very good professional judgment. So I echo the voice of Chopraji that an individual, there is no dearth of knowledge. If he does not have knowledge or updating of knowledge, he can always refer to the books and libraries or colleagues. So it's an ethical standard which actually make the difference between one professional to another professional. How do you want to implement it? And in ethics, remember our ethical standards is very, very well researched. It talks about gross negligence, which is a misconduct, an error or mistake or judgment or negligence is not a professional misconduct. So we have to discriminate between mistaken error, negligence and gross negligence. And gross negligence happens when somebody has actually intention to do a bad thing. So if somebody wants to do a good audit following the standards and all, he will acquire the knowledge, he will have the skill and competence. If he does not have, he can always lean on the experts. But one has to have a very good intention to maintain the highest ethical standards. Professional skepticism in one word is something again embedded. Each and every one of us will have this skepticism, even not only doing audit, managing office, managing administration, managing institute, council, committee, board, everywhere we are skeptic. Without that, we cannot live. How much you apply your skepticism is important. I would also draw attention to a fourth word in the preliminary discussion is the judgment. Today, the financial statements, if you look at it, 80 to 90% are depending on accounting estimates. And estimates have an element of uncertainty and complexity and judgment. So management will have say, this is my judgment, and that will include management bias, whereas an auditor may or may not agree. Now, how much an auditor would, there is no rules or something in black and white. So it all depends on the auditors to apply his sense of skepticism and ethical issues, ethical standard, and ultimately he has to apply his judgment. That flexibility is there as our standards are all principle based. I think one individual as an audit professional, if he can really apply his judgment skill and apply it prudently, appropriately, and in a right way, we really want to say that all our audit professionals will uphold the prestige of the profession. That's my preliminary comments on audit quality, ethics, and professional skepticism. We'll come back and speak in detail after this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijit Bhai. This average of 1170 has been exceeded today. So today there are 2,320 members who are attending this program. Thank you for your compliments. And I now invite CA Shyamlal Agarwal ji, past chairman AASP, for his opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, as everybody has said, my heartiest congratulations, to you and your team. Particularly, I'm also a member of your team, but to you and the vice chairman, because this I had admitted in my meetings also that this part missed during my chairmanship, which I could not achieve, which I meant there. So I am really thankful that one of the target which I had in my mind as a AASB chair, you have put it to the achievement, and even on the very higher side, which I never expected, 100 webinars, 100 programs of AASB, and that too average looking by more than 1,000%. That is really very good. Because the great lacking, we all are aware that great lacking in our country particularly is with the members is that I don't know why they don't enjoy the attending AASB program in the past also. That is a drawback. Basically, this had been not this time only, earlier also. And during the chairmanship of Abhijit Bandyopadhyay and myself, we had studied it a lot. And what chairman, we found that basically what people understand the audit is basically a formal requirement of auditing, and whatever standard are there, they understand that they are all aware of that. That is the basic myth which every profession is having. That myth you have tried to remove to a large extent. And in Jaipur itself and in other parts of the country where we work, a lot of professional interact, which because we had been in the council, so a lot interact that Mr. Agarwal, you were telling in your lectures that standard adherence is a must in the life. Standards are very easy to understand. Standards are very easy to implement. The only thing is, in each and every audit, at least one full day, the engagement partner has to read from top to bottom what he's signing, so that he will understand what he has to do. So that part is coming out, and now most of the members now very close, to the standard. They want to understand the standard, and the way the documentation has increased nowadays is phenomenal. And you all appreciate that the members are looking to the institute that what in the easiest form, if they can have the document trail and document collection, so that they will be able to call for that. And the best part of this documentation is the GST, the Form 26 AS, we always discuss, because these compliances and the reporting automatic transactions have automatically become a main strong evidence and the part of the documentation with each and every chart component. During my tenure, I had been able to look very close to the auditee, to the auditor, to the regulator, and to the stakeholder. What I want to say very clearly before the current chairman, Mr. Sanjeev Singhal ji, is that the expectation gap, which we anticipate that there is a gap of expectation between the regulators, I think this is not to that extent. In fact, when I was there in 2016, when I got the standard, I got the guidance note instead of standard 3000 S3000. Then the regulators were not they were not keen that I must come with that matter. But ultimately, I went and discussed with the regulator. They were very happy to note that, Mr. Shyam, if reasonable assurance is achieved, absolute assurance is not the basic part required by the regulator. Absolute assurance itself is a very great assurance, and therefore they agreed to this guidance note 3000, and the auditor reports the set guidance note is there. So this part they are expecting, and therefore we have to. I think we have to stabilize certain part. Each member, I request also certain part. What is the expectation of the regulator? What we actually are doing, and what we actually required to do, and what standard want. If we strictly follow the standard documentation, reporting, disclosures, etc., I don't think there will remain any gap between the regulator and between us. So that I had discussed in one of the meetings also. And the next part which I wanted to discuss, as rightly discussed by my past chairman Abhijit Bhai, that the three part you have taken in this meeting: quality, ethics, and the skepticism. That is the key areas of the which we can say the fundamental part of the audit, where everybody knows, everybody understands inside that an auditor has to follow this skepticism, and he was doing it initially and laterally also. But unfortunately, the documentation related to that he was not able to create the document. So I think the members are hearing to this webinar, I request all the members to create documentation, what they are doing, what they are questioning, and how the questioning mind they are having, and the answers go, and how they create the audit trail of that. That part I think we should put among the member. They'll be very highly, close to the our requirement. What we need, that they should follow the standard. And the audit quality, what we discuss is this quality. Basically, I think we discuss the quality what standard says. So that we go by the quality, and that itself include all the trails which a stakeholder, a regulator, or a user of the information require. I think nothing beyond we have to go, and the standards are interestingly accepted, and we have to look for within the standard itself. So I request all the members here in this webinar that they have to, the standards are very, I don't think they have any standard more than 10 to 20 pages. If they go by line, they will be able to understand that what type of quality and what type of documentation to maintain the quality is required. Now the time has, for the auditors also, the time is very clear, because every transaction done by the auditee is, somewhere it has to be reported, and therefore somewhere it is reflected also. So this way, I think the members who are hearing the webinar, I think this is my suggestion to them is that the standards should be very close to their heart. They should take note of each and every standard, and whatever query or whatever myth or whatever misunderstanding they had about the standard, I think under the able chairmanship of Sanjeev Bhai, who has not left any stone unturned to remove the difficulties of the members at each and every point, including not only bank audit also, even in the statutory audit part also, which I don't think it has been ever taken up by any of the SSB chairman or institute. First time you have taken up this, the suggestion part and the panel while completing the annual audit of private and public company also. This is, one cannot go beyond that. Things are kept, very confidential. Discussions are suggestive. And again, the professional judgment of the auditor prevails. So with these, I think you are doing very well. And I am very lucky to have the Sanjeev Singhal as a chairman, because I was thinking and I was the chairman. You mostly, your work was like to contribute as an expert of a particular subject. But now you could control all the SSB. Happy to that. My compliments to Honorable President, Vice President, and your team, your vice chairman, and being me as a member. I think I congratulate all of us, all of you, and all this team will take the ICA at the way, at the place where it deserves and where the regulator wants, and it will prevail that ICA is the only authority, only body, and only the members who can understand accounting, reporting, and disclosures, and understand all these things for proper implementation of the government policies and government compliances of all tax laws, etc. So thank you very much. Thanks to my all past chairmen who had been there, and my condolences to Chopra ji, which I could know just, and Dugesh Bhai. So I am very sorry to hear about that. But God is great, and we have to follow what the God wants. According to that, we have to move our life. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shamlalji. Now, may I now request my senior council colleague in the 24th council and the former AASP chairman, who's been patiently listening to all of us from last 1 hour. But last not the least, for opening remarks, may I now invite G. Shekhar. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Before I start, my heartfelt condolences to the Amarjit Chopra ji. I able to feel the situation under which you address the members. It shows the professional commitment inherited by you towards our profession, and it shows the quality of you. Duty also given equal importance instead of your personal commitments also. Chairman, sir, first I congratulate ICI because the World Congress in which the whole function has been celebrated, highlighted about the India, because I know the amount of hard work put on this, because the whole work started in 2018. From that day, I was also part of the team. So we know that how much of the effort, knowledge, hard work, all things made it to success. So we congratulate the present council team and the present president and vice president to make the world to realize India is a country who can rise to any level to meet the level of challenges. not only in technology, but also in auditing and assurance profession. Sir, in your introductory speech, you have said that about the video lectures and about the bank audit and bank seminars, everything. I would like to request at this point of time, during my chairmanship, under your convenership, we brought a total material of video lectures on all the standards with the MCQs for the knowledge of the members. They can learn all the auditing and assurance standards at their doorstep, at their convenience. So I request you to take, during your period, take most of the steps, because you are the person who would like to take the knowledge and the experience to the provide service. So one more set of knowledge is there with us. It can also be taken to the members. Today, we are in this 100th meeting, I'm able to think over during my 3 years period, 2 years almost COVID. Still, I'm able to recollect 23rd March night, 24th, 25th of March 2020 is the guidance for the members. We are able to release the guidance for our members on COVID situation. What are the do's and don'ts? We brought out a material. I can very proudly say, without the support of the present chairman, it would not have been brought such a fast manner within a span of 4 days. It's because I have to thank, if I'm not going to tell at this point the amount of support, guidance, and collective material, all these things, what you've done. I'm sitting in Chennai, you are sitting in Delhi, our secretary is sitting in the board secretary is sitting at their residence, coordinating, getting the things done, complying, everything. So how much effort we have been put, even on a difficult situation, the quality shall not be deteriorated on the expectations of the stakeholders. So this is what I see behind that, because we are the one of the first person who brought this type of guidance to the members, how to conduct audit during the COVID situation, even physical verification of stock and everything we have given. With my experience, basically, I have been identified as a tax person. I was in charge of this board for 3 years. I would like to say audit means quality. Even in a recent discussion, one of the top bureaucrats has told me offline that the technology taken over the responsibility of the audit on most of the situation. This is what the views of the most of the people, even government is thinking that the technology can take over the responsibility of the audit. Then I explained the person, technology can support the audit, but technology cannot substitute the audit or supplement the audit. Technology can only support the audit. He said, how you are arguing like that? I given only a small example. Today you are giving me, because the person is also from the tax department. Today you are giving a details of record. What is the share transaction I have done? What is the transaction I have done with the GST authorities? What is the banking transaction? All you are collecting and giving information. It is only an information. Whether that information is true and correct or true and fair, only the auditor has to apply the mind and has to report. Even a particular expenditure is incurred, the technology can give the information. Whether it is correctly imported, correctly reported, is only auditor has to apply. Application of mind and expressing an opinion, technology cannot replace. Technology can give support for information, support of information to give an opinion, but opinion can be given only by an expert of auditors. So audit quality, today technologically we are getting a lot of information, and you as you already said, you are bringing digital auditing standards for the support of the members. which is going to helpful for us. But at the same time, in so many occasions, because I worked with Mr. Amarjit Chobraji, you also there as a represented, when we are bringing Caro, when we are having a discussion, our profession is not responsible like any other professionals or professional accountants outside India. Because practically, if you are asking, our number of tax or GST return filer is more than number of citizens on certain developed nation or certain European countries. That many number of people are distributed over a vast, wide area. And it is not just like that called as an entity, because even in our terminology in auditing standards, we are using the word, or accounting standards, we are using the word entity. The entity in India is a mixed sum. For example, it is started with a proprietary organization, HUF organization, firms and LLP to a listed companies. So our auditing service is distributed over these areas. So the quality of expectations of the stakeholders differs from person to person. But as an institute, we brought 46 auditing standards, and which is supporting the members. The standards are, in my opinion, is a minimum requirement. Standards are only a minimum requirement. Depends upon the situation and the requirement of the stakeholders, the quality has to be enhanced. Regarding ethics, in my opinion, every human, when he is exercising as a human being, certain basic ethics he has to follow. Ethics is an inbuilt requirement. It cannot be preached, it cannot be taught, it cannot be compelled to follow. In my opinion, it should be inbuilt when you are doing a function, whether as a head of the family, or as a brother, or as a father, or as a husband in a family situation, or as a professional. We may be prescribed ethical standard. Recently, we convert totally within the last 1 year. Our ethical standards are synchronized with the international ethical standards. But unless the ethics has been practiced and proven, we cannot ensure the quality. Because I used to say, sometimes people used to say, see, because of a chartered accountant, a fraud has been conducted. It is not the question of chartered accountant conducting fraud. First, he is a human being. Doctors in other professions also, people are committing errors due to negligence, due to gross negligence. In all the professions are there. But what is here inside our profession is highlighting, because the negligence affects the financial stake of the society. It is sometimes affect the economy, it affects the employment, it affects the tax revenue collectors, all these people. So they are expecting more ethics from us. So today, if you combine the quality with the ethics, the expectations of the government is day by day increasing, as rightly said by the our past President Chobraji. We have to rise to the level of the expectation. When we are talking about the audit quality, we are talking from our view. We also rise to the level of expectation of the quality to the extent of the stakeholders' view. I don't want to much discuss about the professional skepticism, because as a professional, as an auditing profession, and always the skepticism, you should have an inquiring mind. Still, I'm able to recollect when during my student days, one of the first quality of the auditor is, whatever the audit you do, you should have the knowledge of the business of the client. So you have to acquire the knowledge, receive the knowledge, inquiring policies, and on the basis of the knowledge you've taken, you have to establish the procedures in conducting the audits. So it is most essential part. For that, Institute is also working, bringing with the technical guides, guidance notes, or questionnaires, sometimes advisory, all these things. So I congratulate your team, sir. This is the 100th meeting. I'm able to realize every third day you are having a meeting, almost. because in the last 1 year, every third day, you are having a meeting, as rightly said by the Bandhabudyaji, that average 1,000 to 1,200 people are attending the meeting. It means how much the importance of auditing is felt, because normally this type of crowd will come only for direct access or GST, sometimes corporate law. But now it is coming, means there is an awareness raised among the members of the importance of the audit quality and audit standards. And finally, I would like to say Vanakkam to Bandhabudyaji sir. When you are saying, I was in another call, so I am not able to say Vanakkam to you in Tamil. And I thank the institute and the chairman and vice chairman for giving me the opportunity to interact with you on this happiest 100th meeting of this WSB. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, I'm aware of the fact that Amarjit Chopra sir has to leave in next 15 minutes, and the past president Sunil Goyalji has already left. So let me take up first two questions to Amarjit Chopra ji. Sir, as we mentioned in the beginning also, recently NFRA chair in the World Congress mentioned about crowdsourcing of risk. And you know, you have already said that I mean, you will be available if anything needs to be done. Sir, would you like to elaborate on the benefits and pitfalls of the same? And do you think it is ICI who should be making the repository industry-wise, or do you think that it should be left to the individual auditors to crowdsource the risk, and whether that is feasible or not? So, sir, your thought process around this idea, since you are also an NFRA board member.
Thank you, Sanjeev. If I remember correctly, what was said by Mr. Ajay Bhushan Pandey, the chairman of NFRA, he said that rather than auditor trying to assess the risk industry-wise or trying to find out what is the risk to a particular company, let him go to the people who are charged with the governance and ask them what do they want. What is in their perception the highest risk so far as that particular company is concerned. Now, there can be companies where the intangible assets might be posing the highest of the risk. There could be companies where the debtors or the receivables will be posing highest of the risk. There could be certain companies where the highest risk will be with regard to the liquidity. There could be certain companies where the highest risk could be of the interest rates for that particular matter or derivatives. So what he was trying to say is that after all, the audit committee, and this is what I said in my opening remarks also, why auditors should only assume the responsibility? I think the people who are charged with the governance and the regulators should also assume some kind of responsibilities with regard to assessing the risks in a particular sector. Now, we have seen what happened to the telecom sector. We have seen what happened to the coal sector in a particular period, which has been given the name of the telecom scam or the 2G scam or 4G scam, or you can call this coal scam. Now, the people who are charged with the governance knew all that, what has been done. They should have told the auditors that they can look at it. Now, you look at the case of ILFS for that particular matter. Now, it is not that the board did not know that some part of the loans was being used for the purpose of repaying the loans to the from the ILFS Fin Services for repaying the loans to the ILFS main. So why should not the board also tell to the auditors as to what needs to be done, or the audit committee should not be telling the auditors as to what needs to be done? To my mind, this crowdsourcing of the risk by the auditors for institute, you need to if the institute feels like conducting a study of the risks in the various industries, there's no harm. There's absolutely no harm. No, till 2 years back, there was no risk so far as the chips were concerned in the case of the automakers. But today, in the last about a month, last about a year, the maximum risk has been with regard to the chips for that particular matter. So I think every industry will go through different kind of risks in the different times. So for an institute to gauge that particular risk may not be feasible all the time. And what happens in our profession is, if you give it in writing as an institute, it becomes a gospel truck for the members. And members will start doing absolutely copying and pasting that. I don't think that may be desirable. Let them go to the audit committee, and I think our own members should have the courage of conviction or the guts to go to the audit committee, raise the issues as to what are the risks that you perceive in this particular company, and let that be recorded in the minutes. And if that he has been able to do, I think that should be good enough. Then the audit committee chairman is equally responsible for it. Why not? And all the audit committee members should be responsible. The CFO sits in the audit committee, let him be also responsible for it. So to my mind, let this crowd sourcing of the risk be there. And I think this is a very good suggestion by the NAFRA chairman, if you really ask me. And I welcome that particular suggestion. And I think I have been saying it in my various articles, that only auditor you cannot blame. The regulators will have to accept the blame. The audit committee chairman will have to accept the blame. The other independent directors will have to accept the blame. You cannot blame the auditor alone under any circumstances.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Sir, I mean, absolutely. As an audit professional, as a chairman, AASB, I certainly echo your views that auditors are a very, very important constituent of this whole ecosystem, but they are not the only one responsible in case of an audit failure.
Very frankly,
Chairman, sir,
I sit on the other side also. I am the audit committee chairman, at least in 3 or 4 of the companies. Why I should not be able to assume that responsibility before the auditors? And I can tell you, ask the auditors who have been auditing the companies where I sit as audit committee chairman. One allows them the full freedom to discuss the issues. And if at times it has been there that I have told them that you need to do this also, very frankly, why not? As an audit committee chairman, I think I have also got a role. If my auditor conducts the job more diligently, I also feel safe as a consequence thereof.
Chairman, sir. Chairman, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir,
I
absolutely.
Support.
Yes,
one point I would like to say. This steps about Amarjit Chowdhury sir said, our auditing standard board taken a first step in the last 3 years. When we are preparing the guidance note on bank audit, during last 3 years, we have done a procedure. Chobra sir, we have sent our draft guidance note even before the preparation, at the preparation stage. All the auditors who signed the balance sheet of the central statutory audit to give their opinion, all the executive director or GM in charge of the audit section who are coordinating with the auditors, and we are also sent to the audit committee chairmen before finalizing that, because after finalizing that, you should have given this explanation, that explanation, this example, all these things. Give all your practical views, what you are facing when you are conducting this audit, and what are the risks, do's and don'ts. So as rightly said by the Chobra sir, that we should involve all the people instead of ICI only taking the responsibility on this.
No, 100% agree, sir. And in fact, I'll be meeting the NFRA chairman again, because I think my understanding is that he has gone beyond the audit committee and those charged with governance, and probably for a public opinion on the risk also he mentioned. And that is why we thought that if that be so, then for an individual auditor, that will not be feasible. And that is where ICI can step in.
No, but Sanjeev, let's admit one thing. For each audit, I don't think it will be practical for the ICI to go to the public for that matter. You will be able to, as an ICI, you will be able to give the general risks perceived in a particular industry. But now, company to company, there could be specific risks for that matter. So now, that is why I'm saying, if ICI gives out all those risks, you can say that these are indicators. But if you say these are the risks, our member will ultimately say that you told us that these are the risks and we have actually gone by this, and that's the end of the matter. Because I still remember when Mao Karo came in, and in Mao Karo there was a question whether any personal expenses have been charged off to P&L account or not. I still remember Institute gave the guidance that other than the contractual ones, no other expenses. In each mock RO, I was able to find the same language, word to word. So I don't think that can be the intention under any circumstances.
Yeah.
The auditor will have to assess the risk company to company himself, and then perceive. Then we'll have to go by that.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Absolutely. So these will be indicative only. I see a hand raised by Abhijit Bhai also. Abhijit Bhai,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Sir, I'll give my inputs in that. I was there present in that session. I think what he has said is crowdsourcing of risk. Actually, what he meant, there are two ways of looking at it. One is that we have a standard and we have a process in the audit called risk identification and assessment. So in every audit, we find out what is significant risk, and it will vary from company to company, audit to audit. Somewhere it could be inventory, somewhere it could be sundry debtors, receivables, somewhere it could be revenue. Normally, management override is always presumed risk. Right? So while classifying significant, high, low, etc., we need information. And that information cannot be only confined to financial statements and companies' books and records. What he meant, rather you go out and look at the other regulators' statement or position, or you talk to audit committee, as Chopraji said very correctly. So you need to gather more information to identify and assess the risk for your audit. Now, while saying so, what he meant is, yes, what Chopraji said, that you should also meet the regulators, ask their perception about the audit. Of course, it will apply to, I think, large complex audits or large complex company, because regulators may not give their inputs for all 16 lakh companies. But while doing so, let me tell you, Mr. Chairman, I think all past chairmen are there, they will agree. Our standards are already there and it is embedded. It's not a new concept that Chairman NFRA has thrown. It's a very good concept. He has raised the issue. It will go a long way. But let me tell you, in our standard on audit today, if you follow, for example, if you look at the steel industry, and I am auditing, for example, they have shown that revenue or profit is impacted by loss of revenue because of the regulatory impact. And regulator said the import duty is cut. Immediately the price in India will also fall down. Or they say profit has come down because of the cost enhancement, because of the fuel cost. They all use coal as the fossil fuel in their furnace. That has gone up. Government has imposed another duty. So our cost has gone up, our profit is reduced. Now, all these, when we audit, we don't look at only the company statement. We look at the peers in the industry. We look at the other companies. We get information from agencies. And we compare whether this has actually impacted all the companies in that industry. We can't close our eyes and say the company has given information, so I have taken this management representation is a bogus thing. Absolutely, let me tell you. One has to go beyond that, and that is what he is saying, crowdsourcing. So it's not a new concept. The process is embedded. If somebody follows the audit and knows how to do it, they are doing. But one thing I like what he said, and Chopraji also echoed, I also echo the view. Perhaps we don't write to the regulators for their perception of risk for that company or audit. We only take those information which are in public domain. So maybe in the stock exchange or somewhere there is a complaint against a director who is a common director in this company, we immediately pick up. But I have a doubt. You said whether institute can make a repository, cannot. Because institute will not be able to give that perception. First of all, institute cannot distinguish between large company, large audit, small audit. They have to do it for all. You can't. You don't have resources and you don't have access to information. He is saying that you go to write to SEBI for some listed entity, write to RBI for banks. We don't. But I have a doubt, Chopraji would agree. And I remained 6 years chairman. We used to write what Shekhar said. Shekharji, we started writing to regulators and all central auditors for guidance on bank audit. Even when I was chairman, I issued 500 copies to them, the draft, so that all central auditors give their views and all. So that's a authorship of a book. But audit is something different. Now, suppose you are doing audit of an X company, very large, complex audit. You write to a regulator about their perception and see how many would respond. No. See the responses. As Audit Standard Board, I used to write inviting nominations for AASB. We never used to get response, sir, with all due regards. But anyway.
No, I fully subscribe to what you are saying, Abhijit. Believe me, as individual auditors, central as well as branch auditors, there are numerous occasions, I'm using the word, numerous occasions where our firm has written to Reserve Bank of India seeking some clarifications. You have not been able to get any reply. They will not reply to that.
Chopraji, you remember when I joined the council 2001, there are bank scams and 169 audit firms were, there were allegations, and Institute wrote to RBI seeking information which they had. And how many of the responses came? Anyway, I'm not getting into a debate in that, sir. But very good concept. If NFRA chairman has said Institute should pick up this and request the regulators that whenever our members write for information on risk perception, they should respond, and that will be very good input for our risk identification and risk assessment. I'm telling you, the audit will be much more effective. So the concept thrown by him, which is partially embedded, the other part, what Chopraji has explained, is very good element for audit, but I think is realistically very difficult to implement. One, the auditors will have to divulge information to other regulators. We need to seek permission of the clients. Two, Institute has to mandate it. It will become difficult for auditors also to write. Third, the regulator's response would be very difficult because you are giving a response before the results were made public. I really don't know in reality whether any regulator will come forward and give some information other than what they have in past. They will show the past track records which are already in public domain. And as a matter of audit, all auditors of large complex audits are already gathering information and using those for their risk assessment and identification process. That's all my input. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijit. Yes, Shamlalji, I'll just come to you. Let me take one question to Chopraji because he'll be leaving after that. Sir, what are the few areas in your view, because and in fact all the past AASB chairmen have traveled across the globe, they have plethora of experience. In your view, and I'll come back for the same question to all of them, what are the few areas where you feel Indian CAs have an advantage over their global peers? And I'm saying Indian CA means Indian practitioners have an advantage over their global peers. And what are the areas where you feel that they can learn from their global peers? All of you have attended the World Congress also, and you have traveled across the world in various capacities. So any inputs from your side to start with Amarjit Chopra?
So far as I'm concerned, I personally feel saying that advantage or disadvantage, I don't want to get into that, very frankly, because having become active on LinkedIn for the last few months, I find at least 2 or 3 people who keep on writing against the institute. 1 or 2 of them have actually served the institute and whatever positions they have acquired in the institute. I don't know what is wrong with the mindset of the people concerned. And people feel that foreign CAs are better or foreign CPAs are better than the Indian CAs. I don't agree to that kind of suggestion. Few of them, I think I will send you some of the messages where they say that Indian standards are inferior to the world standards, the international standards, particularly on the risk management, particularly on the risk controls, particularly on the ICFR, basically control systems, assessing the risks. I'll definitely send you those messages. Please come back to me because I don't find those standards to be deficient, because I personally feel that we have gone ahead and actually adopted, as Abhijit would also agree, all the international standards. I don't feel that there are many differences except in one of the standards where there has been an argument whether the group auditor should be able to get the information from the component auditors. I think that has been one area of divergence which has remained, but in the times to come, probably that void may also be filled. Let's hope for the best so far as that issue is concerned. Yes, one area where I personally feel we are inferior to the foreign counterparts, and I feel no shame in saying so, is that our members have not picked up technology at the rate at which they should have picked up, at the speed that they should have picked up. I think we definitely need to pick up, particularly the smaller firms need to pick up the technology far more than what they should have done. And our firms should scale up. in terms of the, I don't talk in the terms of the size basically, but in terms of the acquisition of the knowledge, so far as the technology part is concerned, I think we need to do that. And if the new networking guidelines are implemented properly, are taken up properly, not only for the sake of the government audits, for that matter, or the bank audits, I think certain good things can be done to the Indian firms, and Indian firms could compete with the bigger firms in the times to come. And so far as our knowledge is concerned of the standards, if I have to look at the top 100 Indian firms, I think we are as good as any other firm. I have no qualms about it. People may not like it, but I personally feel that if I have to look at top 100 firms today in terms of the size or in terms of the turnover or in terms of the quality, because I think I've been auditing some of the companies. I sit on some of the committees. I find our Indian chartered accountants to be as good as anyone else's. So I don't feel that. But one or two things that I personally feel concerned about, even as audit committee chairman, sometimes is that when you talk of their fixation of the materiality levels or their picking up of the samples, basically, that clarity somewhere is missing. And I think if not today, I personally feel I am very clear about it. In the next 3 years or 4 years' time, probably the auditors may have to disclose the way they have picked up the samples. The auditors may have to disclose the materiality levels. Today, they are only giving it to the audit committee. I think in the times to come, those materiality levels or those unadjusted items may also will have to be disclosed somewhere or the other. This is the way that I am feeling so far as that particular part is concerned. To me, what is more important, and I will keep on saying it, I think the ethics is the most important part. In India, what we lack is the implementation of these standards somewhere or the other. If NFRA has to come up on the auditor with regard to that in a loss-making company, continuous loss-making company, a company is able to create the deferred tax asset. In a company where they stop charging the interest on an accounting NPA, I don't think that it reflects well on the implementation of the standards from that angle. So to my mind, what is more important is that the institute must be focusing on the ethical standards. More of the ethical standards have to be propagated. Very frankly, if you have held 100 programs, I think ethical standards should have held 300 programs by now. If you really ask me, to me that is far more important, and the dangers which are there in not following those standards should be very clearly reflected therein. But somewhere, because I've sat in the disciplinary committee in the last 4 years, I can dare say that there are certain areas where the CS have been found to be very vulnerable. One of the areas is the obtaining of the external confirmations, if you ask me. What Vijay said with regard to management representations, with what we can think of going concern concepts, basically, how we are actually reporting on that. These are the areas where we are weaker. There's no doubt. And I have seen people saying that they will obtain the confirmations from the debtors, but if on the creditor side, on the payable side, where the volatility is far more, they have obtained no confirmation, and there they will say we have applied the alternative procedures. And if you ask them what alternate procedures, those alternate procedures are missing, if you really ask me. So I think those are some of the areas where we need to work on. Sanjeev, my humble submission is, rather than saying that external confirmation may be obtained, I think these need to be obtained. This maybe is not working, very frankly. Every auditor comes to us and says that I applied alternate procedure. What alternate procedure? How did you check whether the party is genuine or not genuine? There's no way that it has been done, if you really ask me. Simply because the payments have been, the invoices have been raised and the payments have been received, it does not show the genuinity of the party. Then how? I think the money laundering has been done all the years in a particular fashion. So my humble submission is, start working on few of these standards and take the lead so far as international position is concerned. I personally feel today in Indian chartered accountancy profession should be the leader in some of the aspects rather than being followers in some of the aspects. One is the SA 240, SA 250, and then SA 505. I think these are some of the areas where you can take the lead and can go ahead. I personally don't feel that we are inferior to anyone in the world so far as the profession is concerned. Otherwise.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. We will come back to you regarding your specific suggestions on balance confirmation and then SA 250, the other aspects 240 and 505. If some illustrative guides, etc., needs to be worked on, we can. And your point on the disclosure of materiality sample and the uncorrected SAD, some of the jurisdictions have already taken it up, and it's only a matter of time. You also said that it will happen in India as well. Thank you, sir. You wanted to...
Why I'm saying
yes,
so,
sir.
just a minute before I really leave is, very frankly, if you ask me whether it is management representations or it is with regard to the SA 505, SA 250 in particular, nobody understands. Nobody understands it. If you ask me the non-compliances with the other laws and regulations, there are enough number of enterprises, particularly, I will not say at the top level, but at the middle level or at the smaller level, where the companies have not got themselves registered with the PF or with the ESI. But whether any of the members are reporting that particular matter where there is an obligation, because if you really get yourself registered with PF and ESI, your cost of the staff, your staff cost goes up by almost 20%, and that's a big amount. So we are not reporting that, very frankly. Whereas if I read the standard very clearly, it says that it has a financial impact, and if it has a substantial financial impact, I'm supposed to qualify my report, but it is not happening. So what I'm trying to, you look at Bonus Act for that matter. Now, if a company pays 8.33% and allocable surplus works out to 20%, why should not the auditor be qualifying the report? I personally, somewhere or the other, SA 250, whether you think that you need to provide more guidance or something of that sort, we need to come up with some kind of guidance, examples, whatever we have to do. I think, but we should be doing that. That's my humble submission to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Abhijit, I'll come back to you. Shamlal, you wanted to add something?
I will like to leave at this particular stage.
Thank you very much, sir.
Chopraji, 1 minute.
Thank you so much.
1 minute. Chopraji, a minute only. I request you to remain 1 minute only, because I had some hitch on some issues. So I request for 1 minute only. Kindly remain in the meeting. So, Chairman, thank you very much. My honest experience and submission to all of you is that whatever standards are there and they are applicable as the standards on auditing, I don't think we should go beyond that. Because if we go beyond that in any manner, it will have a lot of questions and will not be able to cope those questions. Coming to the the risk assessment, I think the risk assessment as 540 is very clear, and I think we are revising 540 fair value transactions devised by AWSB, and the risk assessment for risk assessment, whatever informations are available in public domain, what are available in the arm length of an auditor, I think, and whatever information he can take as per those charged with governance, audit committee, etc. I think beyond that, if we are, if we accept any suggestion, I don't think we will be able to work out, and we will be putting the member and the all economy sector in a different area where we'll not be able to copy it. This is my humble suggestion, sir. Regarding the confirmation also, I think the confirmation also we have the standard, and beyond standard, again, what Chopra sir told that it should be self-obtained. In fact, the judgment of the auditor has been well defined in the standard, and wherever he need, he is of the view that the transactions and that the balances are not confirmed, or there is a material deviation with the regular transactions with the company have and the correspondence, I think he can go for the confirmation, not in case of all. And if we put a word sell, I think it will be a question mark, not on our member, but the profession and the ICA law. So my only submission, a limited submission on what had been discussed by now, is that the chairman AASB is excellent working, that we should not move beyond what standards we have today in place. That is my submission. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you, Shamlal ji. Thank you, sir. Chopra sir. Abhijit, you wanted to add something to this topic?
Yeah, Chopra ji, since you have been with us until 4:42, another 18 minutes, I think this is very important topic, and let's exchange views. We will get benefited by your wisdom. Another 18 minutes, please stay back. So, Chairman, thank you. You have raised a very pertinent point, a very good, well thought question. How we are benchmarked vis-a-vis the international guidelines and international audit scenario. I think I totally echo the views of Chopraji that we are absolutely no inferiors, rather we are sometimes superiors. But I would go back to say that perhaps this comparison would not be fair, because the environment of accounting and auditing is quite different in many large, developed countries. I have been, again, with support of Chopraji, he sent me with a Government of India delegation to Australia for meetings. And I was told there that they have only 1,600 companies under audit. And normally the large 10, maybe 6 or 10 firms only do the audit. You look at UK, look at many other countries, even US, the filers audit, these only large companies get audited. And that is why I would strongly feel, since we follow the same international standards in India, look at the implementation issues, which Chopraji has touched upon. I just wrote on notebook. I think in India, again, the standards are very high. Following international, so we are benchmark. But where we actually lag behind is the implementation, because we have to work with how many chartered accountants in practice and in industry. It applies to all 350,000. We have 16 lakh companies, and audit is applicable to all. And we have the standards, which are one size fits all. I really do not believe there could be a one size fits all standard. When I was part of IAASB, I made my point everywhere that we call it like, an audit is an audit is an audit. So every standard will apply to all, audits. I think the time has come. For a country like India, we must distinguish between very large, complex entity and audit, large, not so complex, medium, but complex. These are all in one bucket. And these standards should, apply in toto. Because standards language is very complex. Standards implementation is even difficult. But if you look at all 16 lakh companies and 350,000 chartered accountants, it will never be possible to implement if you apply these, standards for all the companies forever. Because there will be not so complex entities or small entities where you don't have accounting estimates other than depreciation, which is the easiest one, or the valuation of inventory, which is an estimate, but it's the easiest one. So if we look at that distinction, and if we really have a simplified language standard, maybe a shorter, but without compromising with the quality, that will really help in implementation of audit standards and audit quality in India. That is one point. Secondly, sir, I think we need to ICI has to come forward and play a role. When we talk about quality of audit and benchmarking, we also need to create an awareness about audit. We have one set of people who are stakeholders, regulators. Their expectation from the audit profession is very high, and they think that audit will actually guarantee the stake and will play as not only watchdog, will be a bloodhound, and they will, make it sacrosanct so that there is no fraud occurred, tomorrow. I think we need to tell them that audit is basically like vaccination. You create an environment which will prevent the disease to be spread. So there could be one or two failures, there won't be many failures. So even the police will be there, but crimes will happen. So one or two fraud and one or two may surface. It does not mean the whole audit profession is failing. Audit is only an immunization, right? But if you really want to get into a deep dive, then you should go for investigation, fraud, detection. Audit cannot have. Yes, I agree with Chopraji's statement that as auditor, we can't close eyes, even small things, which may lead to a fraud. So we need to be very skeptic, and the standards are sacrosanct in that. Similarly, there is one set of people whose expectation is much lower. That also you have to manage. And that's the management and audit committee. While auditing, if you talk to CFO, you get information. Once, for a large company, if you say, well, I need like to meet the MD, like to meet the CEO, COO, CIO, because it's part of my audit. And audit is not only audit of financial statement. We do that. But for that, we need industry information, we need peer information, we need company information, many things. The company will immediately ask you why, as an auditor, you have to meet MD and all, why you have to meet the board. See how many auditors can do that. Yes, theoretically possible, but practically how many auditors? We have more than 2,000 audience. Ask them how many of them. Immediately they will say your CFO will see that all your queries are addressed. CFO will act as a middleman. No. So I think that also we have to create an awareness, and we'll have to tell the regulators. We can't really force with regulation, but we need to create an awareness that audit is for their safety, one. Audit standards are for protection of the members, two. And three, audit, this is a profile of audit that will create an immunized environment. So if we can create that, I think, and the first suggestion, if we have a separate not loosened standard with same quality but simplified standard for 16 lakh companies. Out of 16 lakh, maybe 1 lakh are larger, complex. Then your whole purpose will be served. And there, I think ICI should play a proactive role. Other than that, let me tell you, make a statement. I have been with ISSB 3 years. I have seen all the countries and their audit standard. I would put Indian quality or Indian standards generally is maximum, is much, much higher than any other country. Absolutely no inferiority. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abhijit. And I fully echo that Indian Chartered Accountants are the best. I want to take two more topics depending upon time. But first is that
Chairman, only
yes, Shyamlal.
One line only on the
yes.
I think what Abhijit has told, and I think the matter has been taken by ISSB also for separate set of standard for SMP and SME. That matter is there. So that already I think that is taken by your board also. It needs to be taken a
No, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That is very much on the cards.
Leave to the way which we understand.
No, absolutely. This standard is on the cards, and it is required. One question on because almost all of you talked about the capacity building for the comparatively smaller firms. So apart from the technical capabilities, apart from the training, etc., do you believe that a broad standardization of the working papers and the checklist will help ensure giving consistent audit quality? So if we broadly standardize the checklist and the working papers, then this will help giving consistent audit quality across various sizes of firm. This is a matter for debate that I'm putting before the panel. And let us start with Amarjit Chopra ji on his views.
It may sound to be a very good idea, but I think practically again very difficult. The reason being, as I think Abhijit said it in many, many words, 16 lakh companies, different sizes, different complexities, different nature. It may not be very easy, very frankly. Because when you talk of standardization of the working papers, you may be able to ask very general questions, compliance of the accounting standards so and so, compliance of the auditing standards so and so. But what is the exact complexity in a particular company for which, and what is the exact risk in a particular company? That standardization may not be possible to be done by the institute under any circumstances. So I think one can give a general format so far as the compliance of the auditing or accounting standards are concerned, or certain laws are concerned. But so far as the assessment of the risks in company to company is concerned, standardization of that may not be feasible. And how one really has assessed. I can look at section 143(1) of the Companies Act today. Whatever those 6 queries have to be made, even that standardization is not there. Very, very frankly, if you ask me, how many of us really look at those 6 inquiries which I am supposed to make under 143(1), how many of us have been able to document that? I have a very serious challenge so far as that particular part is concerned. So we are talking of standardization of the working papers. We are talking of standardization of the audit program. To my mind, these things seem or appear to be very laudable, very noble ideas, but at times become very difficult to be implemented, and at times can be a challenge to the institute itself in the longer run when there are certain disciplinary proceedings, etc. Because people throw you back those papers that have gone by the institute's guidance, whereas the institute's guidance may be very limited on that particular point, and the other person is trying to take advantage of that particular situation. So I think we have to treat on this path very, very cautiously rather than in a hurry. I will only like to say, I just quoted somewhere recently, if we have to go far, then we don't have to rush. I think that's very important.
Thank you for your view, sir. May I ask the same question to G. Shekhar?
Sir, here I would like to add few more things what from Subraji sir said. As he rightly said, out of even 16 lakh companies, in the recent statistics, only around 2,10,000 companies having net worth above 1 crore. If you apply the small definition company, I would like to say, when the government announced the small company in a definition of small company, if it is strictly taken into account the definition of small company on application of CARO, I spoken to the MCA secretary on the next day of the announcement. Do you mean to say CARO is not applicable for all 10 crore companies? That itself they have not applied the fine. They said this point we have not considered. Yes, this is the word exactly. The day before night it came, next day morning, I spoken. The reply I got is, sir, this is the point we have not applied. It means we already told us 2 crore, now it is increased to 10 crore. Then I said, if you increase to 10 crore, small company, that not even 20,000 companies will come into the picture on all these things. That is the situation. Secondly, one more point I would like to add. What our past president Subraji said, he discussed from the point of view of the company. I am talking about the non-corporate SSAs, NGOs, trust audit, because these are having, even though the revenue or income generation wise may not be much, but as an audit firm, audit risk, the compliance with the audit procedure equally applicable for every audit, like tax audit, trust audit, cooperative societies audit, all this audit. If you want to bring a procedure, I don't want to say the information here. Recently, I come across on one of the consultancies, there is a practical situation. One of the NGOs constituted by the government under the Act of Parliament, they are supposed to have only one GST registration, they are having 41 GST registration. Whose advice? We don't know. 600 independent units are preparing their own balance sheets in that NGOs as a small person representing. See, this is what I have seen. That organization started in 40 years, almost 34 years back. I don't want to tell much more on that. When it comes for my opinion on all these things. See, why I am telling all these things, when as an ICA, because ICA gives certain thing, automatically one side we are trying to help the members. Okay, it is a welcome move. Other side, that will be taken as a minimum standard expecting for all the people, which may not, some circumstances not possible or not applicable. So when you want to bring a standard checklist or standard procedure or standard questionnaire for the audit, we have to be very, very, very careful on that particular matter of issue, because here unit to unit, organization to organization, and area to area, the nature of business, the person doing the business, and the responsibility of auditors, and the requirement of the stakeholders differs. We can bring a minimum question as right, Chobraji. We can progress, but not rush.
Thank you, Shekhar. Can I now request Shamlalji for his views on this topic? And then I'll come to Abhijit, and probably after that, we'll have to conclude the session.
Chairman, thank you very much. My views are already there in the board, but what I say is that a suggestive list of, checklist, a documentation list, and it is not basically a standard documentation list. It is a suggestive list of the key documents which we have in SA 540 for understanding an entity and assessment of risk. The first part. The second part is, like we always, whenever we suggest a list, we put a specific para or the number that the material transactions in individual item or individual asset or liability or expenditure and income head must be examined keeping materiality in mind, and the related documents of having that valuation 540 presentation, disclosure and confirmation, etc., should be looked up. So that particular point we always add in the suggestive list, and it will be a great help to the members. My one submission I want to make before all chairmen, past chairmen are there. I think I'm not able to understand the myth between everybody in the country somewhere that the small firms are not doing audit or they are not doing anything. I don't think this is there. I think the scandals had been, in which manner and which large firms there or the medium firms there are there. The small firms, I tell you, Chairman, sir, I have seen closely with the auditor and auditor. They themselves go to the auditee, they themselves look to the document because they take judgment on the spot and they don't have the documentation system in way. That is why they are losing the document, nothing else. I don't think they are the less expertise, they put less time, or they are, they are not expert of the subject, they don't understand the audit. I don't think, because I have seen a lot of entities, small and medium entities, where the reports and the things are very nice and the things are there. And what Mr. Sekhar has told, that if you do that, this is not applicable, people say, okay, let us go ahead. That is a nature of the person. If something is not applicable to you, not put time and product on that particular item. So I think we must have positive mindset while working with our members, that we want to guide them, we want to upgrade them, we want to tell them, each and everything, the standard, the audit, everything. The only thing is you have to showcase with the documentation that you have collected, supportings and evidences of which what opinion you are giving, which is subject to checking by the regulator, by the users of the information, etc., etc. I think with this intent, we must come out with the checklist and with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rider for material transactions, for risk assessment, and for other specific transactions related to entity for which they have to keep the document. And we should never speak on the platform that the small auditors and the firms of 3 lakh or 2 lakh 9, they don't know, they don't understand, they don't work, they don't report that. I think somewhere it will discourage the auditee, and we have to boost them, we have to make them compliant, and we have to let them understand their own insight, what they have to come out with the supporting document, reporting and disclosures. That is my own thinking. I request all the members.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamlalji. The idea was to say that as a helping hand, whether standardized document should be provided. And obviously, because all our members of
no
the
one,
so
I don't think anyone of us said that the smaller firms don't conduct the audit. I don't think anyone of us
absolutely,
has said.
sir. No one has said. No one has said.
I don't know how did he gather this impression. I don't think either I said it or
no. I'm sorry, Chopra ji. I have never told your name or my name. I am telling the myths available in the country.
You said there is a myth. At least not on this forum. There is no myth. On this forum, there was no myth.
No, so my request is.
Sorry, the matter has been discussed that nobody has complied 143.1. Nobody has done this. Nobody has done this.
Sir, my request.
No, but that is good for any bigger or smaller firms.
Please don't
I never said smaller or bigger firms. I said None of us. I'm saying most of us. So I am not talking of smaller or bigger firms. And it's a matter of fact that 143 is not being looked at as an inquiries. Let's put a hand on heart.
Chopra sir, I'm not
may now
telling you at
request,
all. Please
sir,
don't take it on
sir,
you.
sir.
I am not telling you at all.
Sir, may I now
just
request
said that a
Abhijit ji-
checklist is given, a standard, not standard, a suggestive checklist is given. It will help to the members and they will work better and close what we want and what we have to do. That is my submission. Please don't.
Thank you.
take it
Thank
as
you.
May now
Thank you,
request
Chairman.
Abhijit,
Thank you.
Abhijit, for your quick closing remarks.
Yeah,
We are
quick closing
already over
remarks.
time.
Shamalji,
For a
just
quick
have
closing
patience.
remarks.
See, you have raised another good question, Mr. Chairman. And I'll tell you, one must look at the standard setting procedure in India and International Standard Board as well. We make or prepare the standards which are principle based, right? And that's a conscious call, conscious decision. Now, you can have the principle set, like our audit documentation standard. If you look at both ISA and SA, it's very clear. It has given a appropriate guideline what kind of documentation would you maintain and what kind of, and following that one can always make a checklist. It's not difficult. But if you want to make it rule based, like audit program and audit document formats and standard, that's called rule based principle. If you want to make it rule based, the first thing you must remember, again, in Indian environment, and Shekhar said that not only 16 lakh companies, we have probably another 16 lakh audits of partnership, HUF, cooperative societies and trusts. Now, audit standards would apply to all. There is a largest of the large company and smallest of the small entity under audit. Can we have one standardized format or checklist applicable to all audits? No. So my answer to your question would be, I don't think we should start, think about, standardizing the documentation format or checklist and program. Rather, if we look at the audit standard, which is extant, which is there in practice today, and try to, give that learning to all the members, one. And secondly, I again repeat that one size fits all is definitely difficult in reality. If we can have like your small and less complex entity standard may be a solution. And we give a kind of capsule audit program for them, that would be helpful rather than making it standardized for all audits. Thank you.
Thank you for your courtesy.
Thank you, Abhijit. I meant the same way that we need to have, the broad guidelines for different types of audits, say small and large. So this was indeed a very enriching discussion. In fact, I've listed 10 topics for discussion. The discussion was so interesting. We could do 3 or 4. So, probably maybe we'll see that maybe sometime later during the next month, if we can have a physical program as well. It's time that we have a physical program. But indeed, this was very enriching for me as well, listening to the 5 illustrious past chairmen of the AASB. Thank you so much. And more than 2,700 members have attended this webinar. So thank you very much, and looking forward for more value-added sessions in future. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I laud this program.
Thank you, Chairman.
Please continue such programs. Anytime you need my support, my presence, I am there.
Abhijit,